Hello, welcome to the Word Café podcast. This podcast has been designed with curated content that centers on the power of words. Can we really do anything without speaking? Can we really do anything without the agency of words? Yes, that is what this podcast is all about. And I am your host, Amakri Isoboye, your neighborhood word trader. I believe in the power of words, for it is the unit of creation. I trade in words to profit my world. Ask not whence that thunder comes. In the time of King Eric, 310, in ancient England called Albion then, the monks of old looked to the sky to ask of their God who, what, how, and why. Alas, they found no reply. The frustrated monks turned to magic, forbidden incantations of dark arts. They hidden with seeds they pulled from a magical pot. In monks, the monks grew a pathway to seek out their God. And when they came to what they thought was heaven's gate, they met with a terrible, grisly fate. For between heaven and earth is a perilous place, Gantuar, home to fierce giant race. With the bridge now before them, to the world of men a plague of giants descends. Taking a cue from the riches of kings, they acquired a taste for acquiring things. But one taste that caused them to lose control was a taste for the mankind blood, bones and all. The monks that remained were brought to the throne. For this nightmare was caused by their actions alone. King Eric bid the monks to return to dark arts, to find him some way to rule giants' heart. So they melted one down and crafted a crown, unlike any before, built with iron and hatred, magic and more. As soon as the king took crown in hand, the giants were slave to his every command. Eric severed the link between the giants and men, and peace returned to his kingdom again. The magical relics were all that remained, safe with Eric all the years that he reigned. And at last, the time came for Eric to sleep. He took crown and seed with him for permanent keep. And as the king's bones crumbled away, truth became legend, or so people say. The jealous eyes are looking down on peaceful fields in Albion. An enemy vows there'll come a day when giants return and giants stay, to avenge 1,000-year-old sin and eat the last of Eric's king. 3, 5, 4, thumb. Ask not whence the thunder comes. Ask not where the herds have gone, nor why the birds have ceased their song. When coming home, don't take too long, for monsters roam in Albion. For between heaven and earth is a perilous place, home to fearsome giant race, who hunger to conquer the mortals below, waiting for the seeds of revenge to grow. 3, 5, 4, thumb. I smell the blood of an Englishman, for he alive or he dead. I'll grind his bones to make my bread. You're wondering why we are starting with this story. Yes, welcome. How are you doing? Yes, that is the story. Yes, titled blah 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 blah. The Giants of Gantuar. Poem from Jack the Giant Slayer. For those of us who grew up, with that story, you will be very familiar with it. And you'll be wondering, why did I start with that story? Recently, I've been having this wonderful moment with my children, before they go to bed. They call, Daddy, story time. And somehow I go to sit with them to tell them some stories. But they don't want me to read from a book. They want me to share my story, my experiences growing up. And I've been trying to gather them, go back in time and tell them the kind of animations we used to see growing up. Yes, things like Raja Renjet, things like Voltron, things like G-Force, Terrahawks, things like, remind me now, yes, Mighty Mouse, things like Danger Mouse, things like Super Ted, and somehow sharing these stories with them, they kind of Daddy, you mean you had, growing up, you guys had this and that, but one animation, one cartoon character that has transcended, all of this period is Mickey Mouse. Yes, and when I talked about Mickey Mouse, it could relate and all that. But I kept asking myself, why did they ask, or why did they yearn to hear my own story? Daddy, tell us your story. Growing up, what was it like? How did you play? And telling them all of this, looking upon their faces as we make, progress, go down the hill of these stories. I can see on their faces when they go to bed this excitement. It's like their imagination comes alive. And they are so grateful, Daddy, you're real, something like that. There is something about storytelling so powerful. Jack the Giant Slayer, that story shows us some bits and pieces of England or the Englishman, their belief system, where they've been, where they're coming from. And one would say, what's the place of storytelling? Of what value? The truth be told, all of our existence, or if I would say existences, if there's any word like that, they are all crafted through the art of storytelling. Be it the scientific, be it the artistic, be it the music and everything, there's always a story that drives it, and one generation tells the other, and they kind of capture those moments and try to relieve them, but in a higher frequency, if I must paint that picture. So we need storytellers. We need storytellers to tell true stories, events, things that happened in the past that will generate this passion for us to live, for us to dare, for us to travel, to become. I was having a discussion recently with a psychiatrist, Dr. Joyce Nona, and in course of our discussion, we were talking about words and mind. And she said something that was so instructive. She talked about the subconscious and the unconscious, that our creativity stems from our unconscious, and our unconscious is never asleep, that even when we go to bed, the unconscious is always alive. So, sharing those stories with my children, when they sleep, closing their eyes and they sleep, their unconscious is alive. Yes, I'm bringing those stories back to life, and they begin to create things. And when they wake up and I see with them, they're telling me, Daddy, oh, I want to do this. That is, there is something about storytelling. For me, I sat under or at the feet of my granddad. His stories are so amazing, or were, or are, whatever, but I heard inspiring stories. He was a fisherman. He traveled along the Niger River, standing from the brackish end to the freshwater end, running across and all that. His stories, whenever I go back to them and I watch Sinbad and all those movies, it's like seeing my granddad. And that's one thing we are losing, and we need to go back to storytelling. Tell our story. Our stories carry our DNA. Our stories carry who we really are. We move, we travel. Yes, we travel in our stories. We go back in time. Things we have done, good things, yes, good things. And somehow, when we tell the stories to our children, we are more or less giving them license to live, license to become, license to dream, license to dare and take up challenges. Why? Because the stories are there to show that those who came before us encountered giants and they defeated these giants. Wonderful. That is what I have come to share with you today on the Word Café. Stories. Sit with your children. Sit down and share stories. Tell them the truth. Don't fabricate the story, because somehow they will know if you're telling the truth or you're lying. So go ahead. It is time. It is time to create that future through our stories. It is time to empower our children through our stories. It is time to arm them with the necessary ammunitions through our stories. Through our stories. Check every culture that has grown, that has made something out of themselves. It's true. They're all through storytelling. No matter what you say, they are all through storytelling. Be it in the arts, be it in science, what have you. Don't let the children go to bed without a story. A true story. Yes, I gotta go now. Because I have more stories to tell them. I know they are waiting for me till I come your way again. This is your neighborhood word trader, Amakri Isobe. Bye for now. heart some time it has been with you on the Word Café podcast today. Thank you for being there. You can catch me up on my social media handles, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all at Amakri Isoboye. Also, you can get copies of my books, A Cocktail of Words, The Color of Words, and my HRO notebook on Amazon and on Roving Heights online bookstores. You can also subscribe to my YouTube page at the same address. Yes, till we see you again. Bye for now.